So when we talk about vision, it is good to have a vision, because a vision, different from a dream, is a concerted effort to create a world that is better for you than the present. But a dream is not a nightmare, and we shouldn't turn our Nigerian dream of federalism to become a nightmare, so that whenever we are talking about how do we give better governance to our people, people now begin to divide. When you talk about issues, they tell you that lack of justice or equity or inequality or whatever. But these are signs that are not as, you can tackle them. So when you talk about blaming, you reduce power from the center and give to these 36 governors that you can't even control. And then it means that we have to begin to look at some other structures within the state. How is the state assembly? Right. State assemblies are too small that any ambitious governor can put them in pocket by corrupting them. Okay. When you talk about structure, the cost of governance at the state, are we sure that when you have 10 naira, you don't spend 7 naira on recurrent? And most of the recurrent, you can't even account in the budget, because they go by the word of security votes and all this. When you talk, there are definitely many things that are wrong that you must talk about and bring remedy in order to yield a better governance structure. It is unfortunate that whenever you mention restructuring, people are more inclined to the rhetorics of restructuring rather than the benefits and value that will be added to Nigerians, as well as provoking each unit to bring the best they can to the center. So restructuring may not be seen as an agitation to put me down, which some people have they have started conceiving, that whenever you talk of restructuring, some people want to know. The Nigerian federal system can be made better, and the only way to make it better is for this agitation of restructuring. Finally, at this point, I need to say the OCA meeting is a build-up in order to have a kind of mini consensus of what the Southeast thinks or perceives restructuring should constitute. And we also challenge the other groups so that...
So look, I'll come back to you to give your closing thought. Chief Wazirike, in putting it all together, there are those who would say, if all these states, I mean, we've heard some state governors talk about restructuring, is it not possible for them to exemplify these demands that they want from the federal government in the states, devolve some powers from the state to the local governments? Is there any part of our constitution that says that cannot be done?
Well, you know, the local governments today, they are being abused by the various state governors. I can say this without any fear of contradiction. Only very few of them allow them to operate. Most think that local governments are nothing but pocket money. So there's nothing going on there. Local government chairman lives in the state capital, usually in a hotel, waiting for the governor to hear what you say. So in terms of responsibility, many of the governors have failed. They're not even ready. But it is we, the people, who will say, this is the basic mark. This is where we stand. This is what we want. You, the governor, you cannot sack the local government chairman. The local government chairman is not an appointee, neither is he an employee. So when we begin to show that leadership style, beginning from local government to states, they will be making progress. But as it is today, most governors live in Abuja and visit their states. If you doubt me, monitor them. That is why if you call for a meeting, 5 minutes notice, they're all in Asarok. If we really are serious about restructuring, and I can tell you, Ohaneze is very serious, Ohaneze is very real. Akikega is serious. Southern Leadership Forum is very real. Middle Belt Forum, very real. South-South Forum, they're all very determined that this should be done. But we know where the obstacle is. So the obstacle is that people think, oh, you're talking about structure and then you're enemy of the president.
Okay, no, well, I've left the president now. I'm saying amongst these groups, there are some governors there. Can't they exemplify this restructuring in their own state?
The governors often see that as a threat, the gathering of all these groups, as a threat to them. That is why I hardly find them, apart from the one held in Ibadan, which all of them boycotted all these gatherings. But I hope and I believe that the man in Oka will be in the driving seat. And the other thing is that when governors are in their second term, those who are true statesmen will be thinking of tomorrow. How do we position the state? So, but various governors, believe you me, are against restructuring because they see it as a threat. The various governors see themselves as almighty within the state. Look at what is happening in Imo State now. If I don't have my man there, then nothing will happen. Even sacking the policeman, going to court, the orders he never obeyed before, he now wants others to obey. So the various governors see themselves as mini gods. But if we're able to work on the governors, so that whenever they go for any of these their meetings, they can stand their ground. I'll give you an example. The man in Benue State now, we're trying to see how firm he can stand in defense of his people. At the end of the day, he's the governor of Benue. So if he cannot speak for Benue, nobody can. So we are looking for men of quality to move us to the next stage. Granted, it was the military that moved us 19 years ago to where we are with their military constitution, which is why I have so many contradictions, which is also why I have a police chief threatening the Senate president or a senator, which should not be. And if you talk, they say nobody is above the law. So if we have a constitution that actually originates from people, not all these amended ones, so these amended ones actually left the military structure there. But the one that originated, in other words, do away with the present constitution, get a proper constitution that will put the judiciary in its place as part of a federal system, not a unitary system.
Okay. Chief, in 2 seconds, close.
It's either we restructure or we go the way of Rwanda.
Okay.
It is no, 2 seconds have not passed.
They're passed. Dr. Asoluka. Dr. Asoluka, 2 seconds, close.
Well, I think part of the restructuring could be institutionalization, especially the judiciary. And we have some other structures of power.
Thank you very much, sir.
Be more independent, not just in
Thank you, Dr. Asoluka. You're going to be in your 2 seconds. Dr. Chris Asoluka is a political scientist with Chief Godwin Wazirike, also a political analyst, and both of them former president of Igbo think tank Aki Kinga. Thank you, gentlemen, for sharing your thoughts. So as we'll be back in a moment, please do not go away.